Hey everyone, I am so glad you're here to watch this video. I have gotten more questions over the years on this topic than any beauty related question I can think of. And so while it's not a normal subject for a beauty channel, I thought I would address it here so I could reach the most viewers. So many questions about what is Hanukkah, what do we do for it, how is it celebrated, and I just want to say first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for asking. It does mean a lot to me that you care enough to ask, and while I'm not exactly an authority on all things Jewish, I do have a pretty good working knowledge of most Judaica, as it's referred to, and so for those of you that may not already know, yes, I am Jewish. Yes, I was born Jewish, I was raised Jewish, I didn't convert as an adult. My family always has been, and my husband is as well, and we are raising our children that way. So, Hanukkah, it starts this year, it starts on Saturday, December 8th, and I will address why it jumps around on the calendar in a moment, but the name Hanukkah, I get a lot of questions about how to spell it correctly. Well, there is no correct way to spell it in English because it's a Hebrew word. So in the Hebrew alphabet, it's always spelled the same way, and I will try and insert right here the word in Hebrew, but it is actually pronounced Hanukkah. The first letter of the Hebrew word makes a ch sound. It's very guttural, and so you'll hear a lot of ch sounds. Now, Americans and most Western people have anglicized it and taken the ch sound out, so we're not spitting at each other, so that's why you hear the soft H. So that's that. The word itself comes from the Hebrew word to dedicate, and I wrote notes just so I wouldn't miss anything important. So Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday that celebrates the rededication of the Great Temple in Jerusalem. This event actually happened. This part is not so much religious as just it's a documented thing. What we know now is the country of Israel was in 165 BC occupied by the kingdom of Syria, and at the time they worshipped Greek gods, and the occupying army outlawed, the king of the occupying army outlawed the practice of Judaism, and which was not good because everyone who lived there pretty much was Jewish. And the Great Temple in Jerusalem, which now we have synagogues, but back in those days, those things didn't exist. There was just the Great Temple in Jerusalem where all the Jews came to worship for the major holidays. The occupying army took over the Great Temple in Jerusalem and built an altar to, I think it was Zeus, definitely some Greek gods. Hello, Mimi. And banned the practice of Judaism. So that was not a good time for the Jews back then. And the holiday celebrates the fact that a small group of Jews got together and created an army, and the army was referred to as the Maccabees, and they threw out the Syrian occupiers. So we are celebrating a kind of a number of miracles. One, that a small group of untrained farmers threw out a major occupying force. So after that happened, they wanted to rededicate the Great Temple back to Judaism. So they cleaned up the temple, and they got rid of the altar to Zeus and the other Greek gods. And in the Great Temple, as well as all of the modern synagogues now, there is something called the eternal light or the eternal flame, and it's supposed to symbolize the presence that God is always there, and it's supposed to always be lit. Well, when they went to rededicate the temple, they only had enough olive oil to burn for one day. And it took 8 days to prepare more olive oil for the burning. And for some reason, the big miracle is that the lamp stayed lit for the entire 8 days that it took to get more oil. So the miracles that we celebrate are that the Jews won and got the temple back, and that the oil lasted for 8 days. So I also want to point out that Hanukkah is a minor holiday. In the Jewish religion, there's no Christian equivalent. We have our big three would be our celebration of the New Year, which we call Rosh Hashanah, and our Day of Atonement, which is known as Yom Kippur, and then we celebrate Passover in the spring, which I think many of you have heard of. So those are our big holidays. Hanukkah is a very minor holiday that has come up in importance because of its proximity to Christmas. Now, for those of you that want to know why the date jumps around from year to year, well, it does and it doesn't. There is a religious calendar that the Jews have always used, and it is a lunar calendar, which means that instead of the months being 30 or 31 days, are 28. So on the Jewish religious calendar, Hanukkah is always on the 25th day of the month of Kislev. I only know this because I went to 5 years of religious school, so I know these things. I wouldn't know what day it is right now. It's just not something that it's not a calendar that's actually used on a day-to-day basis. That's the history of Hanukkah. Now, how do we celebrate it now? So, couple of things. The big thing, really the only thing we're required to do to observe it, is to light what's called a menorah. So the only thing we are prescribed to do is to light a candle holder called a menorah. There's some other words for it, but I don't want to throw too much at you, so let's just stick with menorah. And it's a Hebrew word, basically meaning candle holder. And it looks like this. I have some props. Hang on. It looks like this. I can't fit it all in the shot, but you get the idea. And I will explain. Let's see if I can pan out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so here's one of our menorahs, and for decorative purposes at this point, because Hanukkah hasn't started as I'm filming this, I threw candles in the whole thing. But this is how it would normally, each night, you light one candle to commemorate that night. So on the first night, you always light the helper candle first, and the helper candle is usually either higher up in the middle or it's higher up onto one side or the other. It has a place of prominence, and you light this one first. And on the first night, I would light one candle and then put this one back because it's the first night. And then the second night, I would light this candle, and then I would light the new candle, second night, and first night, and so forth. So third night, light the helper candle, light the third night candles. So by the 8th night, all 8 candles and the helper candle are burning, and it's very pretty. And when we light the candles, we do say 2 prayers, and on the first night, we say an additional prayer. I'm not going to get into what they all start with. Something like, blessed are you. It's in Hebrew, but it's blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has commanded us to sanctify these lights for Hanukkah, is one of them. So I won't get into all of that. The only other thing about the menorah is that it is traditionally supposed to be placed in a prominent place in the home that can also easily be seen from outside, like in a window. That, in my house, isn't as easily done without setting something on fire, but they are in prominent areas in the home. And let's see, what else is important to know about Hanukkah? Okay, gifts. So like I said, this is a minor holiday, and when my parents were growing up, I don't even think they got gifts. And they maybe got some money from their parents and grandparents. It has grown even since I was a kid. I think because, I don't know why exactly. But yes, part of it is its proximity to Christmas. I think more and more Jews are trying to assimilate. And so they want a big winter holiday like the Christians. But there's no such thing as this isn't a Jewish Christmas. It has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas. There's no similarity. In fact, Jesus would not have known what Christmas was, but he certainly knew what Hanukkah was, and he celebrated it. They just happen to be 2 holidays that fall in close proximity on the calendar to each other. That's it. Anyway, so traditionally now gifts are given to the children of the family. Like I give gifts to my kids and my nieces and nephew, and that's it. Once in a while my husband and I will exchange Hanukkah gifts, but not always. It's not like Christmas where you buy everybody in your family a present. At least that's not how most Jewish people celebrate it. Some families choose to do that now, but that's not traditionally how it's done. So my husband and I give gifts to our kids. Like I said, they get gifts from their aunts and uncles and their grandparents. Now, it's not like this gift-giving spree where it's just one giant gift every night. I think Jewish children probably get the same amount of stuff as Christian children get, but instead of getting it all in one morning, we spread ours out across the 8 days. And I don't get my kids 8 separate gifts because like one night they'll get gifts from one set of grandparents and another, and then their aunts and uncles, and so we just kind of fill in the gaps. And like last year, I think my kids got, they share a lot of gifts because they both want the same thing. So last year, I think their big gift was an Xbox 360. So, and then little things from there, like whatever stocking stuffer type stuff you would get your kids, we get the same thing. The traditional gift, like I kind of was talking about, was money for kids, and that has sort of translated into gold coins. You've all seen those little chocolate coins in the gold foil and then the little mesh bags. And the Yiddish word for money is geld, and so it's very common to give the kids the little bags of chocolate geld, chocolate coins. Who doesn't like a little bit of chocolate, right? And let's talk about food, because that is my favorite subject. Okay, so like I said, the whole thing about Hanukkah was the oil. So the foods we eat are traditionally fried in oil. And it's like two of my favorite things, fried food and carbs. So Jews that come from Eastern European descent, which is like 95% of American Jews, eat potato pancakes. And the Yiddish word for that is latkes. And they're traditionally served with sour cream or applesauce, and we eat them all through Hanukkah. And so do a lot of like just normal Eastern European people. It's just part of the culture to eat potatoes and potato pancakes. And I will film me making my latkes later on during the Hanukkah week. Now, if you are from Israel or from Mediterranean area, then the traditional food is to eat like little donut holes filled with jelly and then fried in oil. So either way, you know, yum, right? So those are the traditional foods. And the last thing is another big symbol of Hanukkah that many of you may have seen or heard about is called a dreidel, which is a four-sided top, and each side of the top has a Hebrew letter on it. And it's used to play a little game where everybody sits in a circle and you get like between 10 and 15 little, like some people play with dried beans or bingo chips or poker chips or canned M&Ms or whatever, and you spin the top, and if it falls on one letter, you put stuff into the pot. If you get a different letter, you get some of it back, and you just keep playing till there's nothing left in the pot and somebody has all the beans or M&Ms, or until you just get sick of playing. And for some reason, I cannot find a normal dreidel. The only dreidel I can find is my baccarat crystal dreidel that was a wedding gift. So I will not be spinning this. It's hard to see the letters in crystal, but there's that's a letter. That's a shin, for those of you that want to know. Bosley wants to eat his dinner. Shh. That's a hey. Quiet. That is a gimel. I know you don't care. And that is a nun. Like I said, 5 years of Hebrew school. Something's got to stick. So you would spin, not a crystal one, like a little plastic one, and play that game. And the reason we play that game is the legend says that because the practice of Judaism was banned during the time of the Syrian occupation, Jewish students would gather together to study, but when the soldiers would come by, they'd whip out their little tops and pretend like they were playing a game. And the letters on the dreidel correspond to the Hebrew words, which mean a great miracle happened there. Or if you live in Israel, one of the letters is different because the miracle happened there. So theirs would say a great miracle happened here. So those are the high points of Hanukkah, and I think I've hit pretty much everything that you would generally want to know. Of course, there's always more to know. Great resources on the internet. Just type in Hanukkah and you could find a whole host of information. But like I said, it's a minor holiday. It's post-biblical time, so it's not one of the big festivals for us. And, you know, it really doesn't... It's important to the kids, but it's not a major focus of Jewish life. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope for some it was informative. If I forgot something or you still have more questions, of course, feel free to ask me down below. And I'm going to go play with my dogs before they tear up this house. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.